I hate to take the bait here, David.
Oh.
It's very Lies of P.
It's the Lies of P of Stardew Valley?
This is, Farms of M. So the Olympics have ended, David?
Yes, they have.
And I realized sort of all at once that it's a real tragedy that we don't have the video game Olympics.
Sure, the esports Olympics?
Yeah. And the gamer Olympics, the Olympics for gamers.
Oh, so are they competing in video games, or are they just like cross-country skiing gamers, high-diving gamers?
Here's my 3-part plan for the gaming Olympics.
All right, I'm ready. I didn't know there was going to be a 3-part plan to start off this episode.
I hope that I have 3 parts that I can get in here.
Let's do it.
I definitely don't have a plan.
Let's do it.
So let me just say some words to you,
Okay.
and I want you to feel the power of them.
Okay.
Gold medal in Dance Dance Revolution.
Strong. Good power.
Feels good.
Good power.
You know? Like, I'm a silver medalist in Guitar Hero. Like, fighting esports exists, right? Like, Evo is a thing.
Yeah.
And like, awesome games done quick. That's like, speed running exists. Those things exist.
Uh-huh.
And so like, a lot of that you can just roll right in, right? Like, I have a gold medal in speed running Aladdin for the Super Nintendo. Like, that's easy. That's easy.
Sure.
Right?
Okay.
Straightforward. But I'd really like to expand out the categories too of like, I have a gold medal in button mashing or something, you know?
Okay. Sure. I see that.
Or something more interpretable. Like, I have a gold medal in like the most accurate retelling of a Kingdom Hearts game, or like the most accurate retelling of a Metal Gear Solid plot.
Sure. Okay. You do like endurance. Like, I played this game longer than anybody else.
Yeah.
Like, for one sitting. I played 48 hours straight of Overwatch ranked. Here we go.
Lowest heart rate while you're on a like Rocket League team or something with 2 people who are clearly fucking it up so bad, but they're blaming you for the team losing.
So the heart rate is coming from rage.
Yes, yeah, it's a rage rate. So you have to like remain calm.
Because I was thinking my heart rate would go up in Rocket League for the exact opposite reason. If I'm on a team with 2 very good players and I'm just clearly the one who is below the mark, I'm just like, oh God, please don't let me fuck up.
We can have categories that adhere to whatever your anxieties are. If that's the one that's going to get your heart rate up, then yeah, that's what we do.
We got all your anxieties with the Gamer Olympics.
I just think that like we could have this, this could be big. Nintendo just put out the like Nintendo World Championships or whatever, and they like let you speed run shit.
Sure.
I feel like we should have the video game Olympics.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I feel like the button mashing one would be like the 100 meter dash.
Exactly.
Those are the high visibility medals. The really important ones.
Usain Mash is gonna just fucking crush it.
Here comes Chase Allhart. He's got the man with the fastest fingers in the world.
The Olympic Village is not going to be quite as tight, I fear. Not as cool.
It's going to be a little looser, you're saying?
A lot of introverts, a lot of people who are like not necessarily excited to talk to people. Listen, that's not casting aspersions. I would not like to talk to other people if I was in this Olympic Village.
I guess it depends on what event you're in.
Yeah, if you're who can speak the most into Discord, who's the biggest yapper of the Discord, then I suppose you probably are quite talkative.
Who can actually put on a good performance on rock band vocals.
Yeah, like who's an actually good singer here?
Well, I would not say that rock band vocals necessarily measure how good of a singer you are. It's a very specific type of match the variance that we have determined for your vocal cords in this game right now.
Yeah. Hey, welcome to Video Game Podtimism. It's the Optimist video game variety show where 2 best friends talk about the wonderful world of gaming. My name is Chase.
And my name is David.
It's I almost forgot to do the intro. I was just like, I was hanging out. I was chilling.
We're just hanging.
With my good,
talking about the video game Olympics, man.
I want to be a gamer Olympian. I just want to, I want to have that next to my name.
What would be the inaugural city for the Gamer Olympics?
Oh, Lord have mercy. I'm reaching for Tokyo. Tokyo is like the thing that kind of makes sense,
That makes the most sense, right?
What else would there even be? I mean, hey, if we're swinging for the fences, Sacramento. Sacramento hosts the first inaugural Gamer Olympics. Just to really set it off right.
Why not? Why not Sacramento?
Everybody can get a burrito. It's hot as hell.
I don't know why that is a selling point, but...
Hey, have you been playing video games, David?
I have been playing
Can you tell
games.
me about which ones? You finished Elden Ring last week, and I'm kind of wondering where you're at now.
Yeah, I finished Elden Ring. I realized there was one boss that I hadn't beat, so I went back and just wiped the floor with this Erdtree avatar.
Sure.
So that game is now done. And of course, after any like good game, it kind of like just takes up all of your time. You get into this state where like, okay, where's the next good one kind of come from? What's going to scratch this itch that I still have going right now, right?
I feel like you really drift when you beat specifically a FromSoft game. Like your brain is just all over the place.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I feel like I got emboldened by beating this DLC.
Yeah.
And I started to get curious. I was like, I became very like retrospective. Introspective. Like, man, I've come so far in like FromSoft games from not playing them at all to like playing pretty much all of them besides Dark Souls 2, which I think is going to come up soon for me, just to complete them all. But I kind of wanted to go back to the beginning and just see my growth compared to where I was when I first started playing FromSoft games. Sure. And my first FromSoft game was actually Sekiro. Shadows died twice.
Sure enough, yeah.
So I fired that bad boy back up.
Wow. How's it going?
It is so much easier now that I know how to play these games.
Yeah, for sure.
It's still, don't get me wrong, it is still not easy. It is still a difficult game. But man, did that first level take me so long to do when I first started playing. It just beat the FromSoft mindset into me, like just imprinted my body and my mind and my heart and my soul with Miyazaki's desires on it.
Yeah.
And I just understand it so much more just implicitly. And it just, I think it gives me a better understanding of like how confusing and difficult these games are when it's the first time you're playing one of them.
Yes.
Because once you get it, it's you kind of you see how it works. It's just so different than other games that it just takes a long time. There's a big learning curve to figuring it out. But once you get it, it's really nice. And yeah, it just really also hammers home how much faster Sekiro is.
Yes.
It is really just, it's still such a joy to play. It really is so good. The action is such a stark difference from Elden Ring, Dark Souls, Bloodborne. It's just so much quicker, so much more action oriented. And I just love that you're just deflecting everything. It's great. Yeah. I also think that my TV has changed since
sure enough,
playing this game the first time. And now that I have the big fancy TV, it is so much easier to deflect these attacks. Yeah. There was a lot of lag, a lot more lag on that last TV than I thought there was. So now it's quite nice. So I'm excited just to play through this game. It's a lot of fun. It's still great. It still looks really good too. The art direction of this game is, I forgot, just so stellar. I mean, all of their games are so stellar, but this one just really stands out in a striking way with just the use of color. And of course you get that a lot more of that in Shadows of the Erdtree, which I really enjoyed. Yeah. But they really use it nicely in this one too. Sure. So I'm just working through the first level right now. Haven't played too much of it quite yet, but it's really a lot of fun. It still stands up to the test of time because now it's a 5-year-old game. I didn't realize how long it had been.
Good Lord. Which
shocked me. There have been people who have started and ended college since this game has come out. Hey. Yeah, it's really good. It is really, really good. So yeah, I'm curious to see.
This was my experience playing through Bloodborne again, where like that was the first one that caught me because I had played a bunch of like the Dark Souls and Demon Souls up to that point, but I was like, I don't know, man. Like I just kind of felt like they weren't for me.
Yeah. I tried to start Bloodborne maybe like 5 or 6 different times before it clicked. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And so going back to it after like playing all the other Dark Souls, I was like, man, this is a joy. This is so good. I haven't returned to Sekiro. I wonder how I would feel about it now.
Yeah. I feel like Sekiro is kind of like my Bloodborne.
Yes, I think so.
It just grabs me so much more than these other Dark Souls games, and I don't know why. I think it's the speed of the movement and just the setting of the game. Just intrinsically, I enjoy those settings a little bit more, even though I do love high fantasy. But I just love like the weird, fucked up fantasy feudal Japan that they have in this game. It's such a unique riff on this formula, and I don't think there's really any other game that has like giant monsters like this with the feudal Japan backdrop.
None of them that are this good.
Sure, I said that and I realized how foolish of a statement that is. But I guess the monstrosities of it, I guess there's like a creepiness to Sekiro, kind of like almost like a spookiness to it.
Yeah, it's got the like sort of like yokai influence where there's like demons and shit just like wandering around, which I like a lot. It's why I like Onimusha in a similar vein of like old Japan, but also like demons and skeletons and shit. Like that's very fun for me.
Yes, ghosts.
Yeah. What was the one we played for the show with the guy who was like reclaiming his body parts? Blood Will Tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of a similar tone with that one too.
I see that. Yeah, I see that. That's really all I've been playing.
Oh wow, hell yeah.
Yeah, I've been puppy mode.
Yeah, for sure. You got your dog and like there's simply no free time.
It's puppy mode, and I still have a cat who demands attention and playing and cuddles as well. So,
yeah.
How about you, Chase?
I have played some video games.
Mm-hmm.
2 are games that I want to talk about. Which one do you want to hear about first, David? Do you want to hear about a theme park or a farm?
What I really want to hear about is this 3-point plan that you talked about. I didn't hear a single point.
Okay, point 1, we need the Gamer Olympics.
Okay.
Point 2,
yeah,
it needs to have more competitions than just like directly measurable like finish line sports, you know?
What if you had like how far can you throw a controller? Like an original Xbox controller.
Yeah, the rage off.
Yeah.
Track and rage.
Mm-hmm. Track and rage.
The high yeet.
The high? How like the Wii motes of javelin.
I mean, that would work. I would watch that.
The hammer throw, you could use the original Xbox controller. For the shot put, you could do the GameCube.
Yeah, there you go. It's heavy. And point 3, it should take place in Sacramento, California.
Great. I just wanted to circle back to that. To make sure we had enough bandwidth to talk about it.
I want to solidify up our plans. Can you just illuminate me on the actual 3 points? I just want to make sure I'm not misunderstanding anything.
Did you say illuminate me?
Yeah.
Is that really how people in your industry talk?
I don't know how anybody talks, man. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Fair enough. All right. What are the two games that I have options between right now? This is like when I choose my commercial preference before I watch a Hulu show.
It's your commercial preference. It's your sword or shield in the beginning of Kingdom Hearts right now.
Ooh, because no one chooses magic, right?
I tried last time. The last time I played 1, I tried magic, and it was just such a fool's errand.
It's not made for magic, the game.
The game is you're supposed to hit,
You're supposed to whack. You're supposed to whack. Anyways, continue.
A side note, this isn't a game I've been playing. I love that they lean into the idea that Sora is like kind of a dumb guy in Kingdom Hearts 3. Like Donald makes a joke about him not being able to count at some point. And rather than saying, yes, I can, Sora says, it doesn't have anything to do with that. Essentially saying like, yes, I can't count.
It's like, yeah, you're right. I can't count, but that's not what we're talking about right now, Donald.
Yes, yeah. Which like, honestly, makes sense. This dude has not been to school in like 4 or 5 years.
He's just been learning the ways of the blade, baby.
Yeah, he's been studying the blade.
He's been studying the blade. He's a bladeologist. Come on.
Farms or theme park?
Ooh, theme park me.
Okay. The first game I want to talk to you about is a game called Parkitect, David.
Ooh, that sounds fun. I like it. I like the name.
It's a very good name. Great pun. So every summer or so, whenever the weather sort of heats up, I really want to play Sim Theme Park. There was like a couple
Roller Coaster
summers.
Tycoon, Sim Theme Park.
Here's the thing, man. Sim Roller Coaster Tycoon was for big brains. Sim Theme Park was for the kids who wanted to ride the rides. Which is what I did in Sim Theme Park.
Gotcha.
There was too much shit going on for me in Roller Coaster Tycoon. And as a consequence, there is too much shit going on for me in Planet Coaster, the sort of like spiritual successor
there's a lot
to
going
Roller
on that
Coaster
one
Tycoon.
too.
There's a lot going on. And I played it and I was like, this is clearly a very good game. Like I can't like objectively say here's something wrong with Planet Coaster, but my own taste sort of dictated that I couldn't spend a lot of time there because I was just like, I'm kind of just staring at like graphs and checking to see when I make more money.
Sure.
And part of the joy of Sim Theme Park for me was the allure of just making a really fun space rather than like min-maxing my profits.
Sure.
You know?
Okay.
And like, I'm sure that some people who play Roller Coaster Tycoon can get there, but my brain couldn't. And so Sim Theme Park was very good because like they oftentimes like you just bought very simple rides and like the math wasn't that complicated. And like the UI was very friendly to the point where it's just like, do you want to raise your prices on your entry, or like how expensive do you want your burgers to be, you know?
Sure.
And so I just enjoyed that a little bit more. And so I've been having that craving recently. And I was looking around like, is there a game similar to Sim Theme Park? Because I hadn't known if there was one. All I really knew was that Planet Coaster was the spiritual successor. Enter Parkitect, a game that I don't know if it is specifically going after Sim Theme Park, but at least thematically and like game design wise, it is lining up in the same way. So this is a theme
it's
park.
It's like the
builder.
Planet Coaster for Sim Theme Park.
It is, it's the spiritual successor in a way.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's as directed as that, but yeah, it is much more like, okay, let's take what was good about that series and probably other series as well, that more simplified, and do that instead. And I really like it. It's really, really fun. It is doing the stuff that I want a theme park game to do. Most notably, it's like very simple. Like there are complicated parts of it and you don't really always have to engage with it, especially up front. Like there's a lot of shit about like there is essentially like an immersion slider that you can see where like if your guests see the pathways that the employees have to walk, then they'll be like, hey, my immersion's a little broken. So you need to like work around that.
Very
right?
Disney.
Very Disney. Yeah. And so there's like, there are mechanics like that, but at least I haven't found that I am required to engage with those immediately.
Sure.
Like the first couple of levels are just like, just make some money and build a cool park. Like that's most of the shit that you need to do. And then the second thing, which I sort of alluded to just now, was that there are levels in this game where it's like, here is the first one. It's very simple. You have a very straightforward challenge. And it's like, there's like a park that's already kind of been built. And your job is to just like make some money and maybe expand a little bit. That's it. And then once you're done, you can continue if you want to. Like you can keep playing in that level, but you essentially unlock like the next one, and then you can go check that out. And a lot of them are like themed specifically. So like the second level it's like an abandoned runway that you have purchased, and like
cool.
It's cool. It's just a long airstrip that you have to build a theme park on. And a lot of the rides are kind of themed around, airplanes and shit, which is fun. I like that.
So like it gives you specific rides that you build per level.
It's pretty agnostic about which ones, but it gives you like a pool of rides that you can choose from, at least in the beginning. They're all kind of themed around similar stuff. And so it's not just like the world is totally open to you.
Sure.
There are modes of the game where it's just kind of like whatever mode. I much prefer the ones where it's like there is a directed challenge that you have here.
Yeah. Okay.
It just works better for me. For whatever reason, when I have just like a sandbox, my brain is like, I don't know what to do. Versus like even something like City Skylines I like a lot, because the thing is that it starts to present you with problems that you have to solve, right?
Energy crisis,
yes. Like
terrifying times.
You build a couple of houses, and then it's like, you need a school, dude. And then it's like, okay, great. I'll build a school. It's like, hey, you need more power, my man. Oh, okay. All right. And like, I think that game is great about just kind of feeding, like giving you enough intrinsic motivation of just like, this is what we have to do.
Yeah.
To continue making a city.
I think it did a good job of just like giving you the basics, and then once you reached a certain size, it's like, hey, you should build this or that. Yeah, like kind of what you're saying. It's just kind of the tutorial is kind of like baked into just playing the game, which is nice.
Yes, yeah, which is really smart and really cool. And so like I like a lot of that, and I feel like that's what Parkitect is doing here, because it's giving you such like straightforward goals initially that are like so understandable. Like it is just have 200 guests in your park. Okay, great. That's how to get there, it kind of leaves up to you, right? And so you yourself as a player are like curious of like, okay, well, I bought a lot of rides and I have a lot of like food stands and my guest seems to be happy. So like, what else can I do to pull them in, right? Rather than just having like an open field and being like, all right, go figure it out, which just like doesn't, I don't love that.
Yeah.
So I think it's really, really good. I think it's like they've done a great job of simplifying this formula as much as you want it to be simple. And then there seem to be like wildly complicated shit that you can engage with if you want to, but like I've kind of just not been, and the game has been totally fine.
Like what?
The roller coaster designer seems incredibly intrinsic.
You can make your own roller coaster.
Yes.
Okay.
You can do that shit. And I make very basic roller coasters, but I like looked up online like what some people are cooking up, like holy shit. Okay,
you're making the Weenie Hut Junior roller coaster over there.
Yeah, just one loop. It goes around a circle.
One big drop and it goes around. That's it.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you ever go to Funderland?
Thunderland. Was that in SAC?
It was in SAC.
I must have. What was it?
It was just like a little tiny theme park for kids, and they had one roller coaster there that was like dragon themed and had like one drop, and you went around a little quick, and then it stopped, and that was it. And that was the most fun thing I've ever been on in my whole life. To this day, nothing comes close to that roller coaster.
Yeah, no, nobody can touch Thunderland.
So that's what I was just gonna say. Like, that is still a very good roller coaster design that you're doing. It still slaps.
It's classic, yeah.
Classic. Continue.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, like I'm enjoying it a lot. It is a game that I'm sure has a lot of depth, but I am just kind of enjoying making a park and looking at my rides and being like, isn't this cool?
Can you ride the rides in first person, like in Roller Coaster Tycoon?
Don't know. I haven't tried.
That's one of my favorite things in Roller Coaster Tycoon. Is like I make just some wacky thing and then I can ride it. That's fun.
I mean, yeah, that's why I like Sim Theme Park too, for the same reason of just like, I want to see what's on there.
You could do that in Sim Theme Park. You could just ride whatever ride you wanted.
Yes, yeah.
That's cool.
It's really cool. Which is so like, it feels silly in hindsight. I had like fired up Sim Theme Park recently as well to just be like, what is it like? And it's wild how simplistic that stuff feels now.
Mm-hmm.
Like just horrible 3D models and like you're barely on the ride. But at the time I was like, dude, I am in a theme park.
I'm in this theme park. Ooh, what if they did it? What if they remade it with VR support?
I wonder if there's a mod out there for that kind of thing, especially for Roller Coaster Tycoon, because it is like the bigger game there.
Yeah. Can you mod VR support into a game without it?
I think some people have, or at least like you can mod like a wrapper around it. I've seen people who do, or who made like a VR version of like an emulator where they have like the emulated version of Mario like running in your living room essentially.
Oh,
which is very bizarre. And like, I don't think they modified Mario itself. I think you can play whatever.
Sure.
I might be wrong about that, but that was my understanding of it looking at it, you know, however long ago that was.
Interesting.
So I think you might be able to like, hack in some kind of VR support.
That'd be sweet.
I don't know. It would be very cool.
That would make me want to get a VR headset finally.
I feel like now's not a terrible time. I like my Quest 2 a lot. I'm still using that for like fairly regularly.
Mm-hmm.
It's neat. I will say for my money, I do not like using VR where it needs to be attached to my computer.
Sure.
It like really kind of limits when and where I want to play, because it's like, all right, I got to strap in and like boot up this whole fucking thing. Whereas like the Quest, as long as it's charged, I can kind of just like fire it up wherever. Anyway, so that's Parkitect. I don't have a ton to say about it other than like fun theme park, man. It's good.
Great.
Yeah. So that would mean that the other game that I'm playing, farming, it is Fields of Mistria, David.
Fields of Mistria. This is a farming game?
This is a farming game.
It sounds very mystical for a farming game.
Yeah, you're not wrong to call out the tone of it, because I feel like it is fairly different than the tone of a lot of other farming sims.
Is it not cozy?
It is cozy.
Oh, okay. Great.
And like, yeah, so let me get into it. I'll explain where I'm at with this one. This is like a farming sim game, and it is like at its base form extremely Stardew Valley-ish. Like the farming of it all, the entry into like how you come about being at this place, it's all like extremely Stardew Valley in a way that like initially I was kind of like, am I okay with this? Like, am I like cool with getting down on a game that is so kind of unabashed about being like, yes, this is Stardew Valley? And for whatever reason, my brain hadn't triggered into that kind of question before. Like I played Coral Island last year, which is like definitely a farming game.
Yeah.
I had played Potion Permit. That was kind of a similar thing, but you know, enough different mechanics there that I stuck around. And I've played Stardew Valley likes before, right? But this one is just like initially it is so similar. And so I think on first blush, I was kind of worried about it of like, is this going to be enough? Right. But I kept kind of playing because the visual layer is incredibly charming. It looks like a Game Boy Advanced, maybe SNES era game. Really reminds me of Minish Cap, the Zelda game on Game Boy Advance. Like kind of that polished up a little bit, but like that kind of color palette and look to it when you're like wandering around the world. And so like it looks amazing, right? Like just gorgeous. And all the character portraits are like it feels like an homage to kind of like late 80s, early 90s anime. Like the character portraits look very much like something out of Sailor Moon, which is also I'm there, right? Like that's I'm very much into that. And so I was just kind of sticking around for the tone of it all. And it's very charming. And like I'm also at a place with Stardew Valley where, because it has been so long since that game came out, it's starting. I'm starting to feel its age more and more as time goes on, right?
Sure.
Of like there are many parts of that game that expect you to like open up a wiki page or, you know, like have some kind of like pre-existing knowledge about how to play the game, or anything like that, to the point where like, you know, it feels like a game of its era. It feels like a 2016 game, which it is. And, you know, it's 8 years ago at this point. That's pretty, it was a long time ago.
Old. Yeah.
And so when a game like this comes along and just changes like a little bit, it goes a long way, right? Of, you know, kind of making changes around the edges of like, okay, the UX is a little better and their tutorials are a little better. And the way that the characters sort of interact with you seems like a little bit more deep than normal. And there's like more frequent and potentially more interesting like quests that happen, right?
Yeah.
Stardew Valley like kind of lays it on thick in the beginning of like, okay, here's the kind of community room that you've got to fix, and there's some events that happen every month. But like by and large, you're kind of just there vibing otherwise. And, you know, I think it's like the first year goes by or something, and then like some story stuff starts happening. But this one is much more clear with like, here are the requests on the board in town that people would like you to fix, right? That kind of endears you to the people. And there are a lot more like essentially like story quests that you can do of, hey, we're trying to fix the bridge into town, and here's the tangible effect that's going to have on the town if we do. Here is the mill that we want to fix, and if you fix it, then you can like, you know, turn your wheat into flour or something like that. And so there are these like very specific effects that you putting work into the town like has on it. And, you know, that's not a new concept for sure, but like, again, just adding it to this formula that I already like quite a bit, it makes it feel like, okay, there's some cool shit going on here. Some cooler things are going on. And I like that. It makes the game feel, you know, I don't know if fresh is the right word, because it's just like, it's using existing ideas, but putting them together well.
Sure.
I hate to take the bait here, David.
Oh,
it's very Lies of P.
It's the Lies of P of Stardew Valley.
This is, Farms of M. Because like it's the same thing, right? Of like, if you're just looking at it initially, you're like, wow, the formula is really similar, right? Like it wouldn't take a lot of squinting to just be like, is this a ripoff, or is this like just Stardew Valley and that's it? Sure. I was playing it the other day and M said, hey, is this the new Stardew Valley update? And I said, no, this is a different game. She's like, it looks like Stardew Valley. I'm like, yeah, it does. And so like, I don't think you would be, you know, wild for comparing the two there, but similar to Lies of P, there's kind of a lot more happening there.
Sure.
And it's like, they just kind of managed to do it well enough in ways that other games that like are supposedly going after a similar genre don't, that I'm like, okay, I think this is like still good enough to enjoy it, even if it is like kind of coming for the king, you know?
It sure does look like Stardew Valley. I'm looking at some pictures of it. But this guy has his shirt off. It's pretty good. That's pretty good.
You know, why not?
It looks very Sailor Moon. You're right.
Yeah, the kind of anime portraits. Yeah. Yeah, I like the characters a lot. I think that people have become endeared to Stardew Valley characters, but like most of them, especially initially, are very flat. Like you're not given a ton, and that's okay, right? I don't think that's a bad thing, but you know, I wouldn't say like the writing of Stardew Valley is the strong thing, but like I do get a better sense for who a lot of these people are in this game, and they are also clearly showing you like the relationships that they have with each other a lot more earlier, which I like a lot. It just makes it feel like more of a living town. Whereas like, and you know, maybe this says something about me, but usually when I play Stardew Valley, I barely interact with the people. I'm just like, I gotta get my fucking farm going, dude. Whereas
real
this one,
Danny
like,
boy attitude there.
I think so.
Look,
but
you seem great. You seem great, but I got some turnips to plant.
I got to get these turnips in the ground. I'm rushing to get the sprinkler system set up. So like, I got to get in these mines. I will see you next year is when I'm going to start.
Whoever made farming seem romantic and peaceful was a liar.
I got shit to do, man. And so, yeah, like I appreciate that they are giving you more of who these characters are up front, so that I can kind of like figure out who I vibe with and who I like and who I want to like return to and start to like build different relationships with and see like what their deal is. And like a lot of the main story quests that you're given, involve these people in a major way of like, okay, you know, we need to do this, that, and the other thing. And who's the person in town who knows how to do that? Let's go talk to them. Right. So yeah, I like all of that. And then, yeah, I think the stuff that they start layering on comes in a little bit later of like, I don't think this is a huge spoiler, but they have like spells and stuff like that, which is very cool.
They have spells?
They have spells, yes.
All right.
Which is, I like spells. I haven't encountered a love spell yet. The first one you unlock is a spell to restore all of your health and stamina, which is really good because, like, you know, if you're in the mines all day and your stamina's running low, you can just cast a spell and it'll return it back up. It takes a long time for your mana to come back. And so it's not like you can just be spamming that in the mines, but it's like a really cool twist on, you know, these systems that have been in place for a long time.
Sure.
So I like that. I do think that like the tone does a lot for this game. Like this feels like it is taking place in like a fiction or like a Final Fantasy universe or something like that.
Sure.
It is, I don't think it's overt about that stuff, but like Stardew Valley, I feel like other than, you know, the kind of wild fictional shit going on is like, this is kind of a magical town that you go to, but it exists in like modern reality. Yeah. Like for the most part, it's like you lived in a city prior to this and that city kind of looks like the ones that we are used to. You know, you move there because you're tired of your computer job, right? Whereas like this one, it's a little bit more ambiguous about like what the state of the world is. And so whenever you get a little bit of that, it's kind of interesting, right? It all feels just a little bit more influenced by fantasy in a way that I really, really like.
Lightly fantasy.
Yeah. And so I think that does kind of change the tone a little bit. It changes what I'm interested in. You know, it's the kind of steampunk aesthetic of Lies of P. It is enough of a difference for me to be like, okay, cool.
Enough of a riff. Yeah.
Yeah. There's like a skill tree, right? That is that's something new that you can unlock and kind of mess around with. So there's enough here that it's just if you look at any individual part, it's like, yeah, wow, that does kind of look like a Stardew Valley riff, but put together, I think it does equal something different and something kind of like novel that I am really enjoying and I'm really having a good time with. You know, Stardew Valley initially was like, hey, Harvest Moon hasn't come out with like a really banger of a game in quite some time.
Yeah.
And like, can we riff on that to make something different? And I would definitely say that like the leap between Harvest Moon and Stardew Valley is much greater than the leap between Stardew Valley and Fields of Mistria, right? Like those two are much more closely connected, but it's like a similar ethos here of we're going to take something that we love and just kind of modify some stuff to see if we can make like also a good game. And so you can kind of see them as in line again, because it's been 8 years since Stardew Valley came out, that games have changed enough in the kind of user experience that, you know, people might expect something different when they show up to Stardew Valley these days.
Yeah, how can we riff on the cozy farming game at this point? Do we just make it like feudal farming and you're trying to like feed your warlord's army or something?
Yeah, like where is
what's the next big jump?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of, it's a similar thing to where I came with a way of with Lies of P of like, I would love to see what comes after Elden Ring, but in the meantime, this is pretty good too, you know? And that's where I'm at with this as well, is like, I really want to play Haunted Chocolatier, the next game from the Stardew Valley dude.
What's that about?
Apparently about making chocolate. You like run a chocolate factory instead of a farm.
Hell yeah. Satisfactory time.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. Can you imagine? Or, you know, I'm very interested in playing that. There was like some farming sim during Day of the Devs where it seemed like the game was kind of making reference to the idea that like this person who you're playing as in this farming game has some kind of past, and that like the farming might be an escape.
So it's like Liam Neeson's character from Taken.
Yeah. Something has happened to them. And so like where's the implication in that, right? Like how do you draw out a story from that? And so that kind of thing I'm also very interested in, but this game's also great. And so like, I can't deny that either. So yeah, it's a similar kind of conflicted in my brain about being like, wow, this is great, but it's also definitely something I have seen before, but it's great. So like, how do I square those two things?
The denial of P.
It's the D of P.
The D of P.
So yeah, I am liking it a lot, and I will probably keep playing it because it does feel pretty polished. This is it's worth saying that this is an early access, and I have not hit the limits of that yet. I feel like sometimes in early access they'll be like, all right, here's the kind of the spot where we haven't finished, or the stuff that we haven't put in the game yet. And I really have not encountered that quite yet. So it does feel like there is a lot that's already been done. So if you're hesitant about the early access stuff, like this one might be okay to check out now. Because it does feel fairly complete already. That may change the farther I get into it, but still, that's kind of my vibe on it now. I will say, just total tangent, but one of my favorite things about this game is that every Friday in the game, everybody shows up to the inn and just like hangs out with each other.
Hell yeah.
It's so
I love
good.
that.
Like I rarely ascribe the description of cozy to a game or even a moment in a game, but that feels so cozy where like
wholesome
it's it's raining outside. It's like 5 p.m. You go up there and on the map, it shows you like where everybody is at any given moment. And they're all in the inn. And you go in there and it's like some people are playing cards. Some people are playing like D&D with each other. The fire's roaring and like you can cook if you want to and like make meals and shit like that. Like it's so good in that moment that I don't know. It's kind of a strangely grounding part of the loop of the game where, again, it feels like a community in the way that Stardew Valley kind of doesn't.
Yeah.
Stardew Valley is just a collection of people that seem to live in the same place. But this one feels like, all these people are kind of, they exist amongst each other. Like there's an actual community here. And even if not all of them get along perfectly, they all kind of come to the same spot to have a good time on Friday, which I'm just like, that's so good.
They are sharing their lives together.
Yeah. Yeah, which is cool. It's neat. So yeah, I'm liking this game. I think it's very good.
Hell yeah. Good farming game.
Anyway, David, this will bring me to my Podtimistic thing of the week.
Which is?
It's re-examining video games, David.
Ooh. We're coming at you, games.
Re-examination. I mean, this is definitely part of the show as a whole of looking back at some of these games that we have played and checking out, are they good? What's good about them? Do they hold up? And like, can we remove part of the nostalgia from it all? Which is an important experience, right? I think that games rarely do get re-examined in any serious capacity.
Yeah.
That, and I don't blame people. It's hard to get a hold of old games. And like, who really wants to see like, hey, was GoldenEye actually any good?
Yeah.
Because then you might have to grapple with the fact that like, are these memories like not good? Was I playing a bad game the whole time?
Has my life been a lie?
The answer is no. Like it was good at the time, but at least my experience has been like, holy shit, GoldenEye is nigh unplayable in the modern age. It's pretty rough. But I think checking out like what is good about it and what is like interesting about this now is cool because, your context is different. You're a different person than you were when you played it. I haven't brought it to the show yet because I want to play a lot more of it before I do, but I'm replaying Final Fantasy 13 right now, David.
Ooh,
what a bizarre fucking video game this is.
Dang, 13.
13.
Is that the one with lightning?
That is the one with lightning.
Okay.
I hated this game when it came out.
That is a strong word.
It was, I feel like it was one of the earlier entries where like I felt very justified in not liking it.
Oh, wow.
I was like 18, I think, when that game came out, 18, 19, something like that. And I just was like, this is not at all what I want. And just was like so frustrated by its whole deal. Right.
Sure.
It is a much more character focused game. And the mechanics of it were like so different than most of the other Final Fantasies. And I think a lot of it was the linearity of it. And so I was so frustrated by it at the time. I was also like just such a mechanics driven guy at the time.
Yeah.
I remember like playing this and then like turning it off and playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 directly after that. So like if that gives you any indication of kind of where I was at the moment.
18-year-old boy phase.
Yeah. And I think I just was not in a situation to be able to appreciate what the game is doing. And like, I will say it's still extremely linear. That is still a true thing about it, but I am enjoying it way more than I did when I was 18.
Good.
I have heard mostly from Girl Mode, the podcast, that unfortunately the meme is like the game gets good 40 hours in, but they were like, the game gets good when you beat the first one. So then you can play the actual good games, the second and third one.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it's seemingly quite a long road in front of me if I do want to pursue that, but I'm enjoying it a lot more. Lightning is immediately sick as fuck. Like she's extremely cool and I can't deny that at all. It's really, really great. So I think just like the moment that I was playing it in, this didn't last very long, I will say, but like it was a moment where I was interested in negativity creativity as a lens with which I viewed media, like kind of a cynical view on, you know, video games and movies of like, shit sucks and like nothing is good and like there's like maybe one good game a year, and like obviously that's not true, but like 2009 2010 was maybe like kind of a bad moment in video games. It was mostly Call of Duty, but that's the shit that I was into at the time.
Drinking your Mountain Dew, eating your Doritos.
Yeah. And so I think I was kind of reveling in the fact of like, I don't like this game, and like I'm doing that with like a smile on my face, right? Of like, this shit sucks. Isn't it amazing when shit sucks? And so like it's kind of a refreshing experience to go back and check out like what is working about this game here.
So are you re-examining the game or yourself or both? What would you say you're doing more of?
I think that's the beauty of it. I think you get to do both.
And
especially when there is like big feelings about a game, right? Which is why it was so bizarre and like kind of fun to play GoldenEye again, because it's like everybody at the time was like, this is the best fucking video game ever. And of course the experience now is like, woof, that is not the best.
Objectively, no. Objectively, it cannot be.
It is hard to control.
No one can take your memories away. And no one wants to, but times have changed.
Yeah. And so it's kind of a cool reflection point of like, where am I at now and where was I at then? And where I was at then was like, there are no video games yet that have come close to this. So this is great. And I'm going to play it with my other kid friends. And, you know, the kind of re-examination here is I didn't want what this game was selling at the time. And now I'm okay with it. And I am happy to like something that I thought I couldn't before.
Hell yeah. I love that. I love that for you.
Yeah. It's been a really cool experience.
In a non-passive aggressive way, I love that for you.
Yeah, no. I don't get the sense that we're passive aggressive to each other almost ever.
I just feel like that phrase is oftentimes passive aggressive.
Sure, yeah.
That's all I'm being clear about.
Yeah. Clear communication. You love to see it.
I got you.
Do you have something feeling your sense of optimism, David?
I do.
What is it?
It is somewhat keeping in line with our discussion about the Kingdom Hearts manga that is out there. This is, I don't think it's new because there's like 40 issues of it, but there is an Elden Ring manga. Did you know about this?
No, not at all.
And it is actually a comedy manga.
What?
Yeah. So like I read the first issue of it. It's called Elden Ring: The Road to the Erdtree. And the first chapter, or the first issue of it, like the first like 5 or 10 pages is just like going over like the shattering. It's all very intense and epic. And they're doing like the Sir Gideon Ofnir, the all-knowing kind of like WWE lineup announcing thing that they do in the beginning of the game. Yeah. And then there's just the picture of the Tarnished with his butt cheeks out in like a little thong. And then Melina puts the Estus flasks or whatever they are in this game on his butt cheeks, like cupping. And then he has like for the rest of the thing, he just has the vase, the vials on his booty cheeks. It's just ridiculous. It's absurd. And Godric the Graft is like almost like a Trump-esque just
oh my god
despot who is just completely and totally self-centered and not with it at all. As in, like, out of touch. Yes, completely out of touch with the people around him. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. And the art's pretty good, actually. Yeah. As well.
I'm scrolling through this right now, too.
Yeah, so I just read the first one. There's like all sorts of little, asides to memes from the game and experiences from the game, which is fun as well. At one point, I got reminded of our friend Drew because the Tarnished character almost kills right off the bat White Mask Veray, just pulls out an actual baseball bat and almost whacks him to death. So yeah, it's ridiculous. I had no idea this existed, and I'm kind of excited to see how it goes. But yeah, it's silly, it's goofy. I don't know if it's good yet, but it's at least trying something different, which I appreciate, and the art's good and it's silly. It's just a silly little take on Elden Ring.
Yeah, damn, that is so wild. I didn't know this existed even in the slightest.
I just stumbled upon it today. I was on Reddit and they had a picture of like a manga-fied version of Rinoa. Yeah. And I was like, is this real? And then they kept on showing different panels of it that were just absurd and they was all real. And I was like, I got to check this out. And here we are.
Unbelievable.
Here we are.
It's kind of full circle for it to go back to manga because like I know that Miyazaki was like very influenced by Berserk and like the art style especially looks very Berserk in a lot of the like way that it's doing kind of like black and white shading and shit like that.
I see it, yeah.
Really interesting. So it's cool to have it kind of come come back to center again. Man, do I have to read this? Maybe I'll read this. It's so strange that it's so comedy focused.
It's all comedy. It says this is a comedy manga.
If you listed the shit that I could think of that could possibly be a comedy, Elden Ring might be near the top of shit that I couldn't imagine it, unless they did kind of what they're doing here, where they integrated the kind of just absurdity of this weird little guy coming out of a cave and being like, I'm gonna save everybody.
And I like that all of the names for the chapters are like how you communicate over the messages in the game.
Oh, really?
Chapter 2 is Likely Maiden.
Oh, my
Chapter
God.
47, could this be an ally?
Can't wait for Trifinger Butthole, the final chapter.
It's gotta be in there.
Oh, my God. Yeah, it's good. I'm going to read this. Hey, do you want to move on to our main thing?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, welcome to Good Games. It's the segment where we talk about the okayest games of yesteryear and gush all the things that we love about them. A hot off the press suggestion. This one came in fairly recently, but our bandwidth dictated that we play a bit of a bite-sized game. And you know what? We've really got a lock on the kind of okay racing games. I feel like we've almost cornered the market on those. And so
we like our racing games.
Yeah, it's a genre that I feel like is not delved into that deep anymore. And so to go back and be like, damn, I can't believe this was a racing game too.
Yeah, that is how I felt this week.
It is. So we played, not playing anymore. We're recording a podcast, Dad. We played Sonic Riders, a game suggested to us by Giovanni. Giovanni had said about this game, I was a huge fan of Sonic growing up, mostly from watching Sonic X on Saturday mornings. And this was my first actual Sonic game. I still think it's one of the best representations of what makes Sonic great, even though it's a racing spinoff. I also think the aesthetics and vibes of this game carry a little bit of Jet Set Radio, which would go on to be a personal fave. Unfortunately, the other games in this subseries were pretty huge letdowns, but I think there's an alternate universe where the Sonic Riders is the Mario Kart for angsty teens.
Ooh.
There's some, I know, I also love the comparison. There's some cool fan projects that exist around this game that might be worth looking into. Also, there's a Limp Bizkit Easter egg in the opening of the video, which is obviously hilarious.
It's a Limp Bizkit Easter egg. I missed this.
There absolutely is. Blink and you'll miss it. It's a pretty it's not super overt, but when they're like running by one of the walls in the beginning, there's graffiti on the wall. And one of them is just like straight up the guy from one of Limp Bizkit's earlier albums, like the character that was on the front of it.
Oh, wow.
It's really quick. Like they run by it incredibly fast, but it's definitely there.
A character on their album cover?
Yeah, it's the dude on Significant Other, the album.
Oh shit. Okay. He's pretty cool.
Pretty sick. Looking really cool. But yeah, if you search Limp Bizkit Sonic Riders, it'll show you exactly the frame that he's in. There was for a brief moment, there was a collaboration between Dreamcast and Limp Bizkit. Like there was some kind of like marketing crossover that they did where they're like, yeah, Limp Bizkit plays Dreamcast, which is kind of incredible. So I wonder if there was just like an existing relationship with Sega where they're like, dude, we got the love for Limp. Fred Durst is our boy. So anyway, let me just hit you with some hot stats about this game, David.
Let's hear it.
Hot stats.
So Sonic Riders came out February 21st of 2006 for the PS2 and GameCube. I tried to play it on the GameCube, but the emulation was a little tough, so I switched over to PS2 and it was much easier there.
I played it on PS2 as well.
Yeah. Runs a fair bit better. This was made in a collaboration between Sonic Team and Now Production. Sonic Team, they made the Sonic video games. Shocker.
They make Sonic.
They make Sonic. They also made Billy Hatcher. Shouts out Billy Hatcher.
Right. That was a good one.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, it was a good game. The Now Production made such games as Bakugan Battle Brawlers.
Whoa.
And Smash Court Tennis Pro Tournament 2. And of course, Rescue Shot.
Wow. Okay. So like sports games. That makes sense. So this is a
Rescue Shot was not a sports game.
I thought it was going to be like a golf game, but it's not.
No, it appears to be an adventure game.
Huh.
I think Rescue Shot himself is like a dog, maybe?
Okay.
Player assumed the role of a mysterious power caused by the dream fragment protecting Bo, a harmless rabbit who has lost his memory after falling off a cliff due to the mischievous Bully Brothers.
That's quite the synopsis.
Yeah, wow. Okay. Maybe Rescue Shot coming to a Podtimism episode near you.
I'm interested.
Yeah, I'm sold. So, it was made by those folks. I do have a review of this game from our friends at Jeux Video.
Mm-hmm.
They reviewed this game originally in French, and I ran it through Google Translate a number of times, spitting it back out in English to get an artist's interpretation of this game, which I will read for you, David,
yes,
now.
Me.
Sonic Vehicles has some interesting ideas in terms of armor system and how to restore balance in the air. And it's a long time coming. Great ideas like chaotic systems and instances where the timer needs to be reset. There are several, but everything in this game is undermined by ineffectiveness, some weak parts, poor execution, and crippling damage. And they gave that a 5 out of 10.
Crippling damage. That was one of the more savage show video reviews we've had, man.
No, their negativity really came through strong in this one. They really did not like this game.
Okay.
Which I will say, it was reviewed pretty poorly, this video game.
Yeah, now you're having Joe for this one.
No. So not just Joe Video. I think that was a much more common opinion of this game at the time.
Yeah.
Could you tell me like what this game is though, David?
Yeah, so this game is a Sonic game. So you have the regular Sonic cast of characters: Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Eggman, Shadow, big, dumb, strong villain guy. I don't remember his name.
I don't either. Which one are you talking about? You're talking about one of the Babylon thieves or whatever?
Yes, I believe so. But yeah, this game is pretty much it's Sonic's, instead of deciding to use his feet to race, decides to use a cool hoverboard to race around all sorts of different tracks. And apparently this is very new and interesting technology, but then everybody all of a sudden has it, and you're just racing all these different characters. There are like some, of course, power-ups on the tracks you can get where you can like do different Sonic moves. There's boosts on the track. There are like little wind tunnels you can follow on the track. The tracks are pretty crazy. They have all sorts of different shortcuts. They have different inputs you can do on the track. So sometimes you're like going on a rail and you have to like do circle really, really fast to go quick. It's always about going fast in a Sonic game.
Recover some of your boost too when you're doing
exactly. And you can also, because it's of the era, there is some pretty cool extreme tricks you can do while you are flying through the air on your hoverboard, snowboard, skateboard, whatever kind of board you want it to be. So yeah, it is a mix of a lot of different games. There's like, feels like there's some 1080 snowboarding or SSX tricky in it. Feels like there is some like XG3. Is that the game? With
Extreme
G3 racing a little bit in there.
Yeah.
There's of course some Mario Kart in there. I definitely see a Jet Set Radio in there as well. So yeah, it's an interesting mashup of a lot of different thoughts and gameplay mechanics.
The strongest thing that was coming through to me was SSX while I was playing it.
Yeah. No, I see that. They do a lot of jumps, and there's a pretty hefty number of moves you can do in the air.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit. You get like graded on how cool your move was when you
exactly
like, finish
how
it.
cool it was, how well you landed. Because if you don't land right, it's really tough, slows you down. You got to hit those tricks, man. You really got to hit those tricks.
What did you think about this one?
This game was a lot of interesting ideas.
Yes,
a lot of interesting ideas, and I think that all of them were good ideas. I don't know if like the physics for the racing itself were my favorite, but
it's hard to control.
It is hard to control.
It's tough to do.
I played it for a couple hours, and I can't say I truly understood how those hoverboards moved, or how the game wanted to convey to me how they are supposed to move or take turns or corners. And like sometimes it gives you little hints to like, okay, press R1 and go left right now to like do a hairpin turn essentially, right? Yeah. And those are helpful. But sometimes I feel like the board should be doing something and it just does not do it. And the game is pretty opaque about telling you how to control and like what all the different things on the track do or how to use them. There's like 2 or 3 different types of like boost in this game that you can get. There's like the boosts that are the pads on the ground. There's a boost you can get from like power-ups that you then press a button to boost with. And then there's the boost that's like an airstream that you can follow behind different characters that sometimes pops up. That is kind of like hard to get into every once in a while. There's also a jump button in this one, which works in a way that is a little confusing, I think as well. But yeah, I think there's a lot that's really good about the game, and like how they are trying to set the game up I really enjoyed, like a mixture of extreme like snowboarding with racing with Mario Kart.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great time to me, honestly. But I think it's just it's the base like physics of the racing that you still need to really like get right, and I don't know if they nailed it with this one.
I wouldn't say so, but I still kind of enjoyed it, despite the fact it's chaotic.
It is
like,
chaos. Yeah, it is chaos.
Really
Emerald.
nutty what's going on in there.
Yeah.
Which like kind of adds to it for me, because for better or worse, I'm usually still winning, despite the fact I like. I kind of don't know what I'm doing.
Nothing else matters unless you're. That's true. Sometimes I'm like in last place, and then all of a sudden I'm in first. I'm like, I don't know what I did. I just hit some buttons and I went off a jump, and it was cool. And now I'm number one. Great.
I think that I do really like how they mechanicalize, whatever the word is, like make a mechanic out of the rubber banding that you can do in like Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Because the slipstreams, when you see them, it's like, oh shit, that's probably from somebody who's going very quickly. And being able to like tap into that and be like, all right, I am going to use that to my advantage, I think is pretty cool. Like that's a neat mechanic.
I see that. So that's like first place, like letting you kind of catch up.
I think so. Again, the game is chaos, so I'm not positive, but that was my read on like when those were showing up, because I rarely saw them when I was in first.
Sure.
And so I think it was like they were being created by the people who were farther ahead.
Because they're going so fast.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And it's like when you get into them, it's so cool because they treat it almost like a half pipe.
Yeah.
And so you're like flying
cool.
through it. And if you go out of it, you just kind of do tricks and tumbles and shit like that. I'm like, that's great. I love all of that.
Yeah.
And so like the mechanical parts all coming together do work. They're just hard to understand.
Yeah.
So I think like if you commit to knowing how to play this game, I bet it's great. Or if you know exactly why things are happening, then it's cool. Because like when it's working, it's working. It feels really good.
I was looking up. I wanted to like see if there was any tutorials or like even just a pause menu to show me like what the controls are. And there is none of that. There's none of that. So it really is just trial by fire. Just get in there and figure it out, which is kind of the most extreme way of doing it, which I do appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. I love any racing game that has a story mode. Give me a story mode, I am in. I
love the story, actually.
It's so ridiculous and funny.
They just start talking about like an ancient Babylonian like guild of thieves, and I'm just like, you got me, Sonic. You got me.
Yeah, like
this is
Tails
what I wanted.
Somehow knows the lore of this like ancient Babylonian society, and he's like, yeah, the gods hated them for their crimes that they commit. I'm like, excuse me, Tails?
No, drop that very casually. So
Very
now canonically
casually.
there are vengeful gods in the Sonic universe.
Babylon exists, and that
Got the
like,
Atlantis treatment.
and being punished, a god punishing a person for committing crimes exists.
Yeah.
Which is all just like, holy shit, that's a lot of lore coming in fast here.
Out of nowhere.
And you eventually do get to encounter most of the Babylon thieves, and they're extremely tertiary Sonic characters.
Yes.
Like they're all just like, who are these people? What is their deal? But I loved it. I thought all of that was incredible.
Liked how sassy they were. I liked the bird character.
The bird lady is very fun.
Yeah. Just mocking Sonic in the beginning.
Yes.
And he's like, all right, we got some competition or new competition. I think is what he says.
The big gray character was really fun too, because like in his intro sequence in the story, it's like him and Knuckles are about to fight and they keep accidentally beating up a robot behind them.
Yeah.
Which is all very
That's the one I was
incredible.
thinking about.
Yes.
Yeah. They accidentally murder this robot is essentially what happens.
Which is incredible. And then like a race starts happening and they're like, let's settle this on the track. It's incredible.
So good.
Yeah. Like I think that this, I don't know how they could possibly lean into it, but like this is the part of Sonic that I love, where it is just like kind of aware of the fact that it is totally absurd.
It's self-aware. Absolutely.
It is weirdly self-aware for like a series that is usually not. It is just like kind of self-serious, and like I like that those like Sonic games are like that too, where they're just like saying with a straight face like, no, this is the serious shit that we're getting into here. But this one is kind of not taking itself very seriously, and I like that. It's fun.
Yeah. It's not like telling a romantic story of Sonic.
No.
It's just have a good time with Sonic and a bunch of weirdos.
Yes, yeah, I like that.
Bunch of weird little guys.
Sonic also seems to not like running into Amy. I don't know why that's the case.
It's very like 8-year-old boy sees his crush.
Yes, yeah, that's true. Of like when just like a different gender was scary.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. That's true. I hadn't even interpreted that way just because I was like, Sonic is like a grown ass man. Why is he freaked out of this lady?
It's a game for kids. You gotta think about it meta that way. Then it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it does.
This is how a young child thinks that a cool older guy treats the woman that he likes.
Yeah. Confusion and angst.
Yes, exactly.
I love the interpretation of this game as Mario Kart for angsty teens.
Yeah, I see it.
Because like Mario Kart's great. And why shouldn't angsty teens have a version for themselves, you know?
Angsty teen kart.
Angsty teen kart. I like that. Like I love Mario Kart, obviously. It is an amazing video game. And like they have just made a mechanical wonder out of that game.
True.
Like it's polished within an inch of its life. But I kind of love the idea of an edgier Mario Kart. Like it takes a weird amount of guts to be like, yeah, we're going to like narrow who this game is for. Because I feel like racing games are like an ideal version of a game that is kind of for everybody. Like racing is just so obvious what the point of the game is.
Yeah.
And like most people just intrinsically know, like I push gas to go and I need to come in first. Like that is the stakes of the game couldn't be more obvious.
Absolutely.
And so like even a grandma who has never played a video game, when they get told it's a race, they're like, yeah, dude, I know.
She brings out her racing gloves.
Yeah. Grandma straps on her racing gloves and is like, I'm about to kick your ass, dude.
Chromed out granny coming out.
Get chromed out granny's like, get totally wrecked, kiddo.
We're no longer Choombas.
I miss chromed out granny. I liked that character quite a bit.
She's a good one.
So yeah, I kind of like the approach of we're going to take the aesthetic layer here and make something different.
Yeah. And like we're getting rid of any and all traction. Tires are out.
Tires are so out.
We're not flying, we're hovering. And we're doing it very fast.
The vibes of it are great, for sure, in that way.
I love the start of these races. The start, I think, was my favorite thing about the game, where you have to like time running up to the beginning, otherwise you get shocked. And then it just feels so good when you just nail it and you're just going so much faster than everybody else right out the gate. It just feels like, really gives you that sense of like getting on that snowy mountain, hitting the fresh pow, you know, but you're doing it with Sonic and his buddies.
No, I also like really liked the starting. That is a strange part of the game where it is very clear what you need to do.
Yeah, it didn't tell you anything, but you're just like, okay, I get this. This is just Mario Kart timing my acceleration with the starting light. Easy. I'm just running now. Very Sonic.
Yeah, the little like laser coming by you. I don't know, for whatever reason my brain was like, I know exactly what the deal is right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It was good.
Yeah. It feels great. Like I think something about starting off of the board too is really fun.
Yeah.
Of just like we're just gonna run at it, and that's how we start the race.
Yeah, and then sometimes if you get into the danger zone, whatever, like you overheat or something, I don't even know what that was. Then you come off the board in the race too, and just be running until it cools down.
Yeah, it's very fun.
I enjoyed that too, because it's like, you know, these boards are cool and they're fast, but like all these characters can also go very fast just on their own. So you're not out of it if you're just using your legs still.
Yeah, no, it still really worked, which I liked a lot. I mean, like, I think a lot of the story stuff is my favorite in this game. Whenever it was between story beats, I'm like, just give me whatever the fuck is going on, because it's going to be so over the top.
The story beats are ridiculous. For me, I think it's the closer it gets to feeling like an X game sport, the better it is. Like, I loved all the tricks in the air. I loved, like, nailing the landing and getting a speed boost. I loved jumping off of the first jump in the beginning of the race. Those were all a lot of fun, I thought.
Yeah, I love the scene. I think it's right after the first race where Knuckles is like, how do these boards even fucking work, dude? And Tails utters like, I would say a series of pretty straightforward sentences, and Knuckles is like, shut up, dude, I can't understand any of this.
His eyes literally start rotating 360 degrees around his skull. And then he's just like, English, please. It was really good.
Tails says, that's easy to explain. According to the Kutta-Joukowski lift theorem, which I looked up is a real thing. It's
Really?
like
That's
essentially
great.
just how lift is produced. And then says, the control surface flow is balanced by the inverse kinetics of, and then Knuckles is like, please stop explaining this to me.
I'm getting dangerously close to learning something, and I might die if you keep going.
Yeah. It's just incredible. Like, Tails essentially says, lift creates kinetics, which in turn, and then Knuckles is like, shut the fuck up. I can't do this.
Yeah. I need something to punch. I need to punch like 5 things to get those words out of my head now.
Yeah. Which is, I think, an extremely, I love Knuckles as a dipshit. Like, that's my favorite interpretation of his character. Because I feel like he was like kind of an evil bad guy for a little while in the first couple of Sonic games.
Mm-hmm.
Or just like a cool dude in Sonic Adventure.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, like this, and then from some of the clips I've seen of like some of the newer Sonic shows, he's also an idiot. I'm like, I love that. I love Knuckles being like a tough, dumb guy, which is very good
What
for
if
me.
he was never actually a villain? He was just dumb and didn't realize what he was
know,
doing
like,
was
what
bad.
was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, power to you, Knuckles.
You wouldn't be
Been
the
there,
first
sister.
person.
Yeah. I agree with you that like this game is a mess, and I like that. It's a lot of the ideas are like pretty good, and
I like this mishmash of ideas.
it's a great mishmash of ideas, and I like it. I like that a lot. And like definitely they did not come together, I think, in the way that the game wanted it to, but like I wish they had iterated on it just like a little bit.
Yeah.
Because from what I understand, the other ones are not as good as this one.
There's other Sonic writers.
Yeah, there's 2 more, I think, after this one.
Really? And they're not as good?
Yeah.
What did they start? What did they do? What happened?
I don't know. I haven't looked into it very much,
Man. Did they take out all
from
the
what I
cool
understand-
stuff?
Yeah, they took out Sonic.
They took out. It's just
just
the
writers.
it's just the Babylon thieves now.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, they were pretty cool too. So the bird character has flames on her pants, like purple flames that come up from the bottom.
That is cool.
That is cool.
Purple flames.
Like, what am I
Anything
supposed to do
purple,
with
I'm
that?
here for it. Here for
Oh,
it.
yeah. I think the only other thing worth mentioning that Giovanni had mentioned here is that there are a number of fan games of this game, like either fan like remakes or like a mods, I think, for the original game. The remake looks pretty good to me. And I do wonder, like, if you just tuned the controls a little bit, like, would this just rock? Would this just be like a really good game? I haven't played it, but like I looked up on YouTube and shit, and the people who are fans of this game seem to be excited for that one. So
I'm very interested in that because I feel like for me, that's what I really want. I want just like a little bit more control. And I feel like that would be the glue that would really bring all these other disparate parts together to make it much more of a cohesive game.
Yeah,
like there's
for
still
sure.
a lot to love about this game, but man, it just feels like it was almost there to be something like really kind of unique and special. And I know that a lot of people really love this game. I'm not trying to put it down or anything like that.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, it's just like it's almost there. It's almost there.
Yeah, I do think that this kind of game too, like, really thrives in an environment where you can have like very bright and colorful environments, or very bright and colorful levels and shit like that. From what I understand, the remakes are like really leaning into that aesthetic, which I think is really cool.
Cool, rad.
Maybe check out the fan games. I'm going to see if they're any good.
Hedgehogs are radical, man.
Hedgehogs are so radical. Anything else to say about this game, dude?
It was fun. It's a good
It
romp.
was fun. Thank you, Giovanni, for sending in your
Giovanni.
suggestion of this game. Appreciate it.
If you would like to interact with our podcast more, you can visit podtimism.com. You can look up old episodes. You can look at the thumbnail, I guess, art. What do you call it? Thumbnail art? Is that correct? I always say that, but I don't know if that's the right term for it.
I think that makes sense.
Thumbnail
like
art.
Podcast episode art, I guess, is like
Episode
the most
art. Yeah.
most apt description, but like I think thumbnail art still gets the point across.
Thumbnail art that Chase has lovingly made for each episode.
Yeah.
You can also suggest a game for us to do in the future, if you would so like to hear our thoughts on something. And you can also look up any game in your mind and put it into our search bar, and it will tell you if we've talked about it in the past. You can go and look at that old episode. So yeah, go visit there. And then also on our website, you can find the link to our Discord. We are part of
The worst garbage.
Discord podcast network. Not a Discord network, it's a podcast network because it's all podcasts. So yeah, you can come to there and talk to other pod heads in the chat and see what they're feeling about Shadow the Hedgehog or Need for Speed Underground or Chromed Out Grammy getting high on the sauce, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, go on over, check it out. Also, thank you, Worst Garbage, for having us. It's great. We love it.
Yeah, it's great. Love to be here.
Thank you, Scott Wilkinson, for the beautiful podcast art. We'd love it. It is always such a joy to see. You can see if her commissions are open at co-fi.com/humblegoat. Also, thank you, dear listener, for being here. We appreciate it. We would do this and be talking about games, even if no one listened. So it's really cool that people do. So yeah. Thanks. It's a great time.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you.
Chase, do you have any video game wisdom for us this week?
Never give up on your gaming passion because it might be an Olympic gold medal.
Ooh,
soon.
That's awesome. That's great.
You know, if you're really good at Sonic Riders, there might be an Olympic competition coming soon to you. I feel like it would be really hard to narrow down like who the U.S. representative of Sonic Riders is going to be. You know, that's a lot of people that might put their hat in the ring.
The Olympic qualifying trials go on for like a year beforehand.
I think so. Yeah, it's a long process.
It's a long process. There's world championships all throughout. So we're gonna really have to get a whole organization together to start getting this going. But I had an idea for another event.
This is step 4.
Oh, this is step 4, creating new events?
No, whatever you're about to say is step 4.
So step 4 is, it's not synchronized gaming, but it's like duet gaming, essentially.
Oh, wow, yeah.
But synchronized gaming would work too. Like who can play Elden Ring and beat Radon in the same manner, 2 people, same build, right?
Oh my God.
That'd be cool.
And like make it look pretty.
And then also the other one I was thinking is who can be the best passenger gamer as well?
Yeah, the guide.
Yeah,
right?
The guide or just like the encouragement as well, or a little bit of both.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So like you're going through a game together and there's one person who's gaming and one person who is like guiding you, encouraging you, all that stuff. Yeah. Because I was just, that came to my mind because my dad, when they were visiting, I was fighting the boss at the end of Shadow of the Erdtree. And he's watching me. He's like, that boss looks really hard, David. I'm going to go to bed now and I wish you the best of luck. I'm just like, man, God. Are you winning, son, me, dad? Did you just do that?
Honest
to goodness and from the goodness of your heart, do that to me. And I felt so encouraged. Empowered, emboldened. So then I woke up the next morning and said, Father, I did it. And he said,
I carried your banner.
He said, well done, son.
lap.
I'm happy for you.
Wow. Unbelievable. Yeah, you would have to take somebody who's like never played Link to the Past and set them up with the person who's competing, who's like, okay, I'm going to guide you. And when shit's hard, like I'm going to be the person who you lean on.
Yeah.
You know,
or maybe that person is like someone they know. They have to bring that person with them.
Wow.
Maybe it is a parent-child situation.
Yeah.
You got to come with a parental figure of some sort.
Yeah, you have to be playing a game though that the person who's playing it has like maybe never played. Like to the point where they need a guide, right?
Yeah.
You know?
They don't understand what's going on, but they're like, I'm still here for you.
God, it's got to be so tough because like if you're practicing that, you're going to run out of games at some point.
It's true.
And how do you like put your partner out to pasture, you know? Like we've played all the games we can.
Well, we just create an industry that just makes new games for that competition. You can make a game in 4 years of some sort. It doesn't have to be a long game or like a visual marvel. Yeah,
everybody's on an even playing field. It's like everybody is going to be playing this one new game.
Yep. They'll give like a genre. This year it's a Souls-like. This year it's an RTS.
It's a racing game.
Yeah, this year it's a racing game. Sonic's in it. Get ready.
Sonic's in it. You can kiss him in this one.
But synchronized gaming, though, that also sounds like fun.
I know. It's powerful. Just saying it is powerful.
Gotta mash your frames.
All right. Well, we'll see you next week, gamers.
All right. See ya.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
TWG, the worst garbage, online.